Many thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. I've heard it all throughout my career, all the most common questions, statements, and cliches with regards to landscape photography. And I guess like all things, when you hear the same statements time and time again, well, it kind of leaves you scratching your head a bit. And in this video, I'll review the 10 statements that I constantly hear that drive myself and my fellow photographers from beginners to pros absolutely crazy. So to jump right into it, this is a big one. No matter how long you've been into photography, if you've shared any of your work online or anywhere, honestly, you have probably heard this statement where someone has said to you like, wow, those pictures are amazing. You must have an incredible camera, or your camera must be so expensive. That's such a common question that I hear, and it's such a misnomer because what that statement does, at least to me, what I hear from other photographers, is that it really diminishes what the photographer does. It completely diminishes a photographer's skill set and basically just puts it all on the camera, all on the gadget, the technology. And it could not be further from the truth. There's so much into photography that goes into photography that has nothing to do with the camera per se. You know, composition has a huge part to do with it. How you post-process the photograph, just the vision of the image. There's so much to it. But when people say, wow, that photo is absolutely amazing. You must have an incredible camera. It's one of those things that I always just say. And like I said, you hear it all the time. And when I first heard it, I didn't really think much about it. But then after, 10 years of hearing it, you just kind of scratch your head a little bit thinking about it. The next one here is, and this happens a lot when you share your photos specifically on like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share your photos online that can receive comments. See, the thing is, well, let me tell you what the statement is first. The statement is basically, wow, this is a very nice photograph, but I would have done this. See, when people share their work online, regardless of where it is, that person is clearly proud of their work because they are sharing it with the masses to see. Most of the time, if there was anything else that they think they should have done to their photograph, they would have already done it. And if the person is not specifically asking for advice or asking for their photo to be critiqued, and it's just a statement of, this is a photograph I took in Colorado last year that I'm super, super proud of. And then people say, oh, it's a great photograph, but I would have added this to the photograph, or I think you put too much contrast in it, or I would have made it black and white, or I would have cropped it differently. That type of unsolicited feedback, I don't really feel is required at all unless the person, the photographer, is specifically asking for that feedback. So, and I get it all the time where I'll post a photo that I'm extremely proud of, and I'll even write it in the description. And someone will be like, oh, good job. But why did you do this? I wouldn't have done that. I think it would have looked better like this. And that kind of unsolicited feedback just, once again, it kind of leaves your head scratching a little bit. And sticking with the theme of comments online, here's another good one where you post a photograph and you get a comment. This happens every single time I post a photo. I get at least one comment like this. And it's where they don't say, great photo or good job, it's beautiful, nothing like that. It's just the comment of, GPS ? It's not, hey, great photo, what's the GPS coordinate? It's nothing like that. It's just GPS. And it makes me wonder, people that do that, has anyone ever actually responded to that with the full GPS coordinates of a location? I have a hard time. I've never seen anybody respond to a comment like that before. And it just seems a little bit odd that somebody would just, no compliment to the photograph at all, just GPS ? And everyone has access to the internet for the most part. And if you spend just a little bit of time doing a little bit of research, you more than likely can find just about any location out there. You just got to put a little bit of effort into it and just kind of dig in and see if you can do a little bit of, virtual scouting to find it out. But just to put the blanket statement out there, GPS ? With no context to the comment at all is a little bit odd in my opinion. Excuse me. So this next one here is, why are you always using a tripod? Or you don't need a tripod. That's a little bit ridiculous. There's so much light out here. Why are you making it harder than it should be? Some type of statement to the effect of, why are you using a tripod? See, the thing is about a tripod, and this is a common misbelief, I guess, is that the sole purpose of a tripod is to hold your camera steady for a longer exposure. And usually longer exposures occur when there is less light outside. So a lot of people believe that if you're photographing something at high noon and there's plenty of light out there, why are you using a tripod? I get it, but there's a lot more to a tripod than just holding your camera still. One of the biggest benefits for me is it helps you to compose a photograph. If you're a landscape photographer and you're trying to get a composition perfectly, set and make minor adjustments, but you're doing it all handheld, that's kind of difficult to do, because then you take your photograph and then you have to put your camera down or move it in some way, unless you're just going to hold it there the whole time. And then you have to recompose it again if the conditions change. So being able to put your camera on a tripod and make those kind of minute changes to your composition and then lock it down and then wait for the conditions to change or improve or whatever the case may be. For me, that's the biggest benefit of using a tripod. Plus, it slows you down a little bit. And with landscape photography, I think that's absolutely critical. So holding your camera still for a long period of time is just one of many jobs that a tripod does. So that's why I often am using a tripod, even when there's plenty of light out there. Now, this next one here, I know you've heard this one before. And it's, can't you just Photoshop that? Or can you Photoshop this for me? The thing is the Photoshop is not a verb. It's not an action. Photoshop is a software product. It's an editing suite. It's an editing platform. It is not an action or a verb or anything like that out there. And I hear that all the time. I know you have as well. Can't you just Photoshop this out or Photoshop that out? Which I always think it always kind of makes me chuckle a little bit. But plus, I think when you're composing a photograph, when I see things in a scene that I don't want in my scene, I usually will try and recompose it to try and, zoom in a little bit or move to the left or move to the right to get that stick or that branch to not be sticking into my frame. I don't really look at it like, I can just Photoshop that out later. I'll just leave it there. So I think that's always one that's good for a good laugh. Now, this next one here is, I don't know if this is super common. I've heard other people mention it before, specifically landscape photographers, but it's the question of, you're a photographer, can you shoot my wedding? And the thing about that is there is a misnomer amongst non-photographers out there. Whether you're a beginner photographer or professional photographer, it doesn't matter. But there's this idea that if you are any kind of photographer, that you can do every genre of photography. And I tell you what, I would have absolutely no idea how to do a wedding, how to photograph a wedding. The differences between wedding photography and landscape photography is absolutely off the charts. It's a massive difference. And the skill level required for wedding photographers and landscape photographers is completely different. Wedding photography is very, very difficult. Just like landscape photography and sports photography is very, very different. So just to think that someone who is a portrait photographer can do events or landscapes, or just to think that any photographer can do any genre of photography is definitely not the case. There are some photographers out there that can straddle across every genre of photographer. I definitely can't do that or I should say every genre of photography. And there's some out there that can do it. I definitely can't do that, but it's definitely something that I hear time and time again. This one right here, that location is so overdone. Yeah, there are a lot of locations that are so overdone. And I do think that Instagram is a big reason why a lot of these locations are overdone, because people post beautiful photos of these incredible locations, and with the reach that people have on Instagram, that location that might not be as well known quickly becomes well known. People do a little bit of research or ask for the GPS coordinates, and then they go photograph it as well. But the thing is places that are generally overdone are usually absolutely incredible. Yosemite Valley is one of the most overdone photos there is, but it's absolutely jaw-dropping, inspiring. It is one of the most glorious things on earth, in my opinion, is Yosemite Valley. It is beautiful. So yeah, it is going to be overdone, so to speak, but I don't shy away from overdone locations. I actually embrace them. They're overdone for a reason, because they're absolutely incredible, and I want to go visit them. I want to experience them. I want to create my own version, my own take on that location with my own memories of me when I capture that photograph there. So I don't shy away from overdone locations. If it's something that I find that's absolutely beautiful, that's what matters the most to me. Now, this next one here, you are so lucky You always get the perfect conditions. The thing about that is you only see, or people only see, the perfect condition photographs. Most photographers aren't going to share with you the horrible conditions at a location. They're always going to show you the best conditions at a location. So when you look through somebody's portfolio or you look through their Instagram grid or whatever the case may be, it is easy to say, wow, you always get such vibrant and explosive sunrises and sunsets, or you always manage to find the fog, or whatever the case may be, vibrant color, fall color. But you're only seeing somebody's highlight reel. You don't see all the other images that they captured at that location that did not have great conditions before they went back the fifth or sixth time to get the good conditions that they were hoping for. So you don't see all the misses, so to speak. Two more here. This is a good one here. I can take that same photo with my phone. So why don't you? Why are you spending all this time and money on all this gadgets? Yeah, phones have come a long way, and they do continue to get much, much better every single year. New iPhone that just came out, 40-something megapixel wide angle lens. It's incredible. I haven't used it yet. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I still have the iPhone 13 Pro, and it's absolutely incredible. But they still are not at the point where they can completely replace a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. There's a lot to a full body professional camera that a phone does not have. Even with all the AI capabilities that phones have built into their instant editing wizardry that they put on these photographs. Will it one day be able to replace it? Maybe. I definitely don't think that we are there yet. We get closer every single year. But the reason why, even if I had an iPhone or any phone that could replace my main camera, I still wouldn't use it. I still would not use it. I love having the camera in my hand. I love having to be able to change the lenses, always be adding lenses, the technology to it, the beauty in it, the art in it. I love that. And a phone, just holding it up and hitting the button, is not the same thing to me. It's totally different. So that's one of the many reasons why I can make a whole video on why I like the actual camera more than a phone. But I hear that question a lot. Now, before I get onto this last one here, and I hear this constantly, all of these, which is the purpose of this video, I do want to say just a real big thanks to the sponsor of this week's video, which is Squarespace, who I use for all of my website and e-commerce needs. Squarespace provides a robust and beautiful online platform to develop your website. You can showcase your photography using Squarespace's new Blueprint design system to help guide you through the options to building your online presence from the ground up. You can even display your photography using Squarespace's flexible website design templates and customize the layout in order to make it your own. And with Squarespace's online store feature, you'll have access to all the tools you need to start selling your physical goods, digital content, or service products online with ease. So if you're looking to start a new website or possibly upgrade your current website, check out squarespace.com/Mark Denney for a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. So this last one here, I hear it a lot, and it's basically, it must be so nice to always be on vacation. And once again, this kind of goes back to you always get the perfect conditions. Yeah, a lot of people see things on maybe that when people go on a trip somewhere, they see the Instagram stories or reels or see the photographs, and it does kind of create the idea that, wow, that person is just always traveling the world taking photographs. And yeah, and that's kind of the idea, is to really exaggerate the beauty of it all. But there's so much that goes into photography. You know, the traveling, the early mornings, the late nights, the missed flights, sleeping in airports. There's a lot of grind to it all. So it is definitely not all on vacation. I do believe that being a landscape photographer is the best job in the world. I would rather not do anything else on this earth than what I'm doing right now. But it is a common, once again, like misnomer to think that people that are photographers are always on vacation taking photos, whether you're a wedding photographer or a sports photographer or wildlife or whatever the case may be. There is a lot of work in photography that I know you know as well, editing the photos, the late nights doing this and that. There's a lot to it more than just traveling and vacation. So those are the 10 things that I hear all the time, and I hear that other photographers, and like I said, this is not a professional photographer thing. I hear people who've been into photography for just 1 year that hear almost all of these same things. And I figured it'd make a fun video just to kind of get these 10 things out there. I've been thinking about this idea for the better part of a year or so. So it's nice to finally put it on paper here and get it out there and make it come to fruition, if you will. If you did enjoy this week's video, if you could, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And as always, I really do appreciate you carving out a little bit of time to spend it with me here today, and I will see you all next Wednesday. Bye.